Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this Friday edition, because it's always on Friday, of Boss Rush. Woo! I am your exceedingly tired, but still energetic co-host of Boss Rush, Chris Melosinos, principal evangelist for video games over here at AWS. And with me today, we have...
Dean Takashi, editorial director for GameSpeak.
Yes, and...
Hey, it's Mark DeLaura.
Hey, what's happening, Mark DeLaura?
How's it going? I think this is going to be a punchy episode, isn't it?
Uh-huh. I may even decide to play a game while we're having conversations today. A whole bunch of them that may just pop up on screen along with all this stuff. But as always, we are here to dissect and discuss and perhaps get some stuff wrong about video game news that happened all week.
Yay!
Susan, unfortunately, is not able to join us this week, but of course, we, as always, wish her the best and hopefully we have her back here next week, right? It's a little out of sync with time for her, right? Being the fact that she's over in the UK and we're over here in the US. But anyway. All righty. Gentlemen, lovely to see the both of you.
Nice to see you. How's
and now
your
you
week
go
been,
ahead
buddy?
and start talking here while I go ahead and check audio levels, as we
Okay,
always do.
I'm going to move my microphone closer to my mouth. I've been screwing around with my levels on this side, and
That's
the lighting,
right.
and all the rest, and the bouncing.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to stop kicking my desk.
Yes, and Dean, I will get you a link to share with the podcast for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Linky.
Let's see. Well,
I got one
been
piece of news on
fun
my
week.
mind.
Oh.
Just one, which is the closing of Cliffhanger Games and the Black Panther title.
Oh, yeah.
It's here in Seattle and makes
Electronic
me very sad.
Arts Game
Yeah,
Studio.
let's go ahead and pop that up there.
Yeah. I don't have any backstory on this other than to hear that it happened and then I'm sad.
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys have any other info.
I don't know. I mean, like, it seemed like a fantastic sort of, IP to make a game based on it. And the movies have done so well at the box office. And yeah, don't understand. Why couldn't EA get something off the ground here? And yeah, it speaks to many of these problems that AAA is having right now. And it's puzzling, right? It's like such valuable IP, and yet an inability for a AAA company to execute on it. And yeah, they said they're narrowing down, their focus, and they're narrowing down on things that are established IPs without brand new games that are really, starting off new franchises. So it's Marvel, it's Black Panther, but it was their first game in this area, hard to understand it. But EA's been shutting a lot of things, this year. It reduced the BioWare team down so that it's making just one game now, which is the next Mass Effect game, and so the fans of Dragon Age, are disappointed that there doesn't seem to be any plan to make any new Dragon Age game for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So EA is in a thinning down stage.
Do you think it's that they're just making the teams bigger on the existing franchises they have that they've seen success with? So they have...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, one of the big things they said they have to execute on is the Battlefield game that's going to be announced this summer, but who knows when it actually shows up, sometime in this fiscal year, I guess. But, that's a major effort for them. They did successfully launch the EA Sports college football game. So that is successfely launched and off the ground, but also required, a huge doubling down on American football for them. And, sports generally is going well. They aren't missing, like in the past quarter. They had a good quarter, like a comeback for FIFA. or not FIFA. I'm sorry for no more
Football.
FIFA, right?
Is it football?
Yeah, for soccer basically, and and so that was a good quarter for them, bouncing back, from the sort of down quarter they had in the previous quarter. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, all of AAA is sort of in the same boat. It feels like Ubisoft also thinning down. Um,
Yeah.
you know, Take Two was going to launch Grand Theft Auto 6 this year, and it postponed it to May of 2026 now.
Yeah, Dean, since you brought that up, Grand Theft Auto 6, I don't know if we mentioned it last week, but did you all see the interview that Strauss Zelnick did on one of like the financial news shows or one of the news shows about the delay?
I read
GTA
one
6?
of them. I didn't watch anything. But
what I thought was
I also interviewed Strauss during for our earnings call.
Right. Well, I think one of the masterful answers, right, that he gave when they were like, well, what about this? Like, what do you like about, the game that you play? And he's like, I'm not a gamer. He's like, my responsibility, and because we don't view what we make as making video games, we view it as making, premier entertainment. And my job as CEO of the company is to create the environment that brings the best artists, the best storytellers, the best musicians and everybody into a place to make the best video games. And I thought that was a brilliant answer, right? And because there's some discussion.
He probably shouldn't say he isn't a gamer.
Right. No. But to the point there is that some of the discussion was going on LinkedIn this week was, Amir Satvat had done some posts about, seeming that kind of the gatekeeping that still feels like is, in some corners of the industry are there. And it's like, you know what, just because you're in finance and help make the finances work for the studio doesn't mean you're not in the games industry. Like without them doing that work, you don't get to feed your families and have a house to go to and continue to make video games, right? So I do think that, his point was well taken, which was, I create the environment to bring the best of the best in to do this work, and that's why you're getting the best of the best, and we'll make those business decisions every day to make sure you get the best, possible game. So it is a tumultuous time still, right, for these companies, and we don't have any additional information beyond the stuff that EA released.
And there's this eternal struggle between the business suits of the game industry and the creators, and I think the show that captured that very well was Mythic Quest, the Rob McElhenney show.
Close to home.
Episode 5 of the first season, they had a very good sort of contrast between the differing views of the business person and the creative person.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch. It was kind of like watching Silicon Valley for me, especially because in Silicon Valley, they had Sun Microsystems racks in their garage. I was like, that is the worst condemnation of a once, storied company. And
I love it. You've hit it big when Hollywood comes and pokes fun at your industry.
Digressing into speaking of Silicon Valley, I yesterday went to visit the first, the return of Micro Center to Silicon Valley and store in California, in Santa Clara, California, and they have their grand opening this weekend as well as yesterday. And I saw Dan Ackerman there, who used to be executive editor of CNET, and he is now editor-in-chief of Micro Center News. So they have their own publication within this chain of now 29 stores across the country. And it's like, it's been a lonely place for nerds in Silicon Valley ever since Fry's Electronics closed
goodness.
2021, right?
I was kind of hoping you were going to say that they moved into the old Fry's location.
No, the stores are smaller. It's like it's very close to the Apple headquarters, right? It's in a good place. There was also a Korean hairdresser shop on the corner, And I figured, they're in the right neighborhood, right?
That's perfect.
All right, well, since you invoked the name of Fry's, which one was your favorite themed version? Which one did you like going to the best? There was the Egyptian one, the Western
Flying
one.
saucer one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. There was one that was close to me, and I don't remember the theme of it, but it's funny now. I drive by it a lot, and that place is now a giant pickleball.
Oh God!
Court complex.
Yes, us Gen Xers are going to
Indoor
just destroy
pickleball.
everything, right?
That's
Now all these
hilarious.
Gen Xers playing pickleball, blowing out their knees and their backs.
Yeah, little do they know that they're playing on like religious ground.
It
Yes.
is. I know.
Technology
Exactly.
industry, right?
For those of you that don't know what the hell we're talking about, when Radio Shack went under and Circuit City and all these other places, right? Fry's is a place you could go get strawberry Charleston shoes, a motherboard that you needed, some diodes for a project you were doing, and then flowers to bring home to your wife because you were spending too much money at Fry's and too much time on your projects. You could get it all in one spot. It was nerd mecca. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, like Micro Center then is a contrast to that in that they're smaller stores and they have sort of most of what you need, but they don't have every single thing that you could possibly desire as a techie, right? So like they had thousands of NVIDIA GPUs for sale at this store. And I think a lot of people were lining up just to get one of those $4,000 GPUs. That was interesting. They also had the newest 5060s that are more like $1,200 bucks, right? And so
5060s to $1,200.
It's 5060, 5070. So
are they really that much? Oh my god!
Yeah. I mean, the desktop version, just the GPU is like $300, right? But with a laptop with the whole
got it right built in
thing in it starts at $1,200.
$1,200. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Well, Dean, you definitely moved into the hardware discussion. You had an interesting story appeared that I hadn't had a chance to take a look at before. Encharge AI unveils the EN100 AI accelerator chip with analog memory.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
What the hell is analog memory? Hey, good question.
You're like, what is analog memory? Isn't everything analog? What are you talking about?
Well, no, I mean,
everything is kind of digital these days,
yeah,
right?
these are digital and analog,
Well,
right?
Everything's analog underneath.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah. So no, just a very different approach to sort of memory, and they think that's the biggest bottleneck in all systems, including AI systems, and so that's a problem they attack. They spun out of Princeton University, and then have raised $144 million to date. So there must be something there, right?
Good job.
Like people are giving them lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 100 people at this company. They're not necessarily saying we're going to kill NVIDIA. They're focused on inferencing, I guess, and having been part of a system with sort of more open AI accelerators in it. So we'll see how this turns out. But yeah.
That workstation.
Startups, these AI chip startups are still getting formed, right? And so there are people out there who think that, say, GPUs and CPUs, as they're designed today, weren't really homegrown for AI, and so there are people who are pursuing that opportunity.
Yeah, and looking at the specs here, approximately 1 petaops for the desktop version of this, 4 NPUs, GPU level compute capacity to fraction the cost and power consumption, 120 times better performance per watt across various AI workloads. That could mean 1 all the way to 20, right? Depending on the workload. 272 gigabyte per second memory bandwidth on that. That's pretty amazing. The real magic of EN100 is that it makes transformative efficiency for AI inference easily accessible to our partners, which can be used to help them achieve their ambitious AI roadmaps.
This is
Maybe available soon at your local Micro Center.
Micro Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good example of hardware release that has so many superlatives in it that is difficult to believe. So I'm going to go read through this a little bit more.
Anybody buy a physics card back in the day?
It sounds great. You know what? The fact that they raised so much money, I think is like, for one, they probably needed to, because it sounds like this is really, really different than what's out there. And so to take a shot at this requires a lot of cash. I'm just surprised that they've come what looks like so far to a competitive consumer product, and we'd never heard of them before, and that makes me.
And your words
cautious.
could have been spoken by Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, which is valued at somewhere around $3 trillion right now.
Right, but it was a long road.
But what he said, he said this week, right? So going to another story, NVIDIA reported its earnings revenues were up 69%. But Jensen said that, during the quarter, they got the surprise that their H20 product line was no longer something they could sell in China. And this was sort of the stripped down version of what, they were selling. And so then this Hopper-based GPU product, AI product, had to be written off. $4.5 billion hit this quarter, and $8 billion for next quarter. And so what Jensen was saying was like, hey, this is an American policy that he doesn't really like, where it's pulling them out of what is going to be the world's biggest market for AI chips, and so you're hamstringing or handicapping U.S. companies in the world market, because there's half the market now that they can't participate in. So there will be competition, and a lot of it is growing in China. A lot of the manufacturing is very strong in China, he said. And the question is, like, whose software stack are you going to adopt? And if you don't have the underlying hardware in that system, it's going to be somebody else's stack. And Jensen was saying, hey, it ought to be an American stack. But the more we're sort of hobbled by this, then somebody else's stack takes its place. And that's what EnCharge is one of those companies who's going to say, we got something different, use our stack, right? That's the hard part, to convince people that you're not only going to beat the hardware specs of somebody else, but you're also going to beat their stack.
The NVIDIA stack for AI related things, CUDA, all the way up, is hard to beat right now. But there seems to be this belief just generally that, kind of like in the old world where we were able to wall off, munitions from getting to other countries, that we can do the same thing with digital technology, and those other countries will be hamstrung by it. And I think the reality is that that's not true, or it might be true for a year or two, but then everybody is going to catch up. They're going to make their own ecosystems. I mean, look at, was it DeepSeek? I mean, look at DeepSeek. Like there's brilliant people everywhere. Like they're just going to run ahead without you.
And that seemingly just happened overnight, right? It just all of a sudden appeared. So they are having access to those platforms for a whole lot longer than a day.
And when it came out in January too, NVIDIA's stock fell like a record 17% in one day, right? And people sort of were basically saying that DeepSeek was a sign that you don't need all of that AI processing power that they're putting into their latest chips, because you can instead make much more efficient software that runs on things that are allowed to be sold in China.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah.
Allowed is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that sense.
What a difficult environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dean, you had another story here that I thought was wonderful to read, which was Minecraft sales grew 35% on both mobile and console after the release of the film. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
We finally flipped the script, right, for Hollywood, right? So
Yeah.
with the movies
And
now driving
Sensor,
sales of the game. I love it.
right. Sensor Tower is a measurement firm, and they sort of just are able to see where the sales happen starting like after the release of the movie, and both the mobile version of Minecraft and the PC console versions each grew 35% after the film came out. And I guess the interesting question is like how much of the box office does say Microsoft, the owner of Minecraft, actually see? Right, it's $940 million has come in for that movie so far in the global box office, but half that goes to the theater owners, right?
Sure.
And then from then on down, like a smaller and smaller percentage ultimately goes back to the IP owner. And so in a way, this is almost, it's not a loss leader, so to speak, but it is a way for a company to raise awareness about its main products, which are games.
Absolutely.
And here, you get some proof then that this comes back to help the game sales, right? And that's very important.
Look, I think, Dean, you have the number right there at the top. Minecraft movie generated $941 million in revenue already at the box office. So, I imagine, healthy cuts all the way around, but didn't do poorly for them.
And thanks for reminding me. I still haven't watched that movie yet. I gotta get on
It is a Minecraft movie. My wife and I went to see it, and she went, "Yep, I get it, but not for me." And I was like, "That is fair. That is fair."
I saw this gigantic promotion for it in Sao Paulo in Brazil, where they had just put Minecraft characters all over the outside of a McDonald's there.
Just, that he could possibly be. He was.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything was, oh my God, over the top like that. I loved it so much. He was fantastic.
Oh God, I'm going to go watch that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Minecraft.
I had another nerd alert story.
Oh,
Yay.
Nerd alert.
So there's this company, Bergschneider, I guess, that is out of Frankfurt, Germany, and they have been doing live action role playing LARPs for a long, long time. And then they planned for an event in October of this year in Kentucky called the Brandywine Festival, and they put this up on Kickstarter. And we're hoping to get like $80,000 for this, and they're well over 500,000 now.
Wow.
And so it's a Tolkien live action role playing, festival. Kind of mainly for Hobbiton fans, so hobbits, and it's just a big celebration of, like the feast that starts out at Bilbo's birthday party at the beginning of the Lord of the Rings. It's funny that people are doing this live action role playing, but it brings out their inner creativity, and like 1,000 people or more are going to converge on this place in Kentucky.
I love it. And, look, everybody's a nerd for something, from sports nerds to game nerds, right? And so to be able to express it in these really amazing ways is awesome, and just giving people the tools, the community, the information to be able to connect and lean in is fantastic. And that leans actually really nicely, Dean, into another story that you had up here, which was Dream Park raises 1.1 million to transform real world space into mixed reality theme parks. And I remember seeing, back when HoloLens, right, was first released in the market, and somebody had done a side-scrolling kind of Super Mario-themed thing in the street where they were running down the street and hitting blocks over their head. And this is got to be, 5, 6, 7, like 8 years ago? So to see that the technology has progressed to the point where it's, wickedly performant, really low in price, and the tools have gotten better to create these things, seems like a really cool...
this is very cool, right? Yeah, it was incubated inside 2-Bit Circus, which has the problem and sort of the blessing of being a physical space for game fans, and it has all kinds of VR installations, and there's like mixed reality there to escape rooms and all that in downtown Los Angeles in a warehouse. In a district that maybe not lots of people really want to drive to, but they hosted these two guys who came in and wanted to take that experience and go make it transportable to anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so now they can, I saw it at the Yerba Buena Gardens park, right outside the Metreon, across from the Moscone Convention Center, and there were I put on this Meta Quest 3 headset, just holding it up to my eyes so I can just take it off if I wanted to. And then you could still see all the people because it's mixed reality, right? You see all the barriers, the physical things in the environment, but you also see all these virtual locations and items like bricks that you can go tap and coins you can pick up across 50,000 square feet of the park, right? And so there's like lava pits that you have to avoid walking into, right? And there was a boss that I could have fought, but it happened to be up on right in the middle of a concert stage while there was the actual physical concert going on, so couldn't get close to the boss. But
I mean,
but
you could.
made the point.
You could have if you
all
really
you have
wanted to.
In this case, right, was they could give you the VR headsets on site, or you could bring your own.
Right.
But you go out to you take a picture of the QR code, you buy tickets there, and the QR code is just embedded on a mat, and they can drop that mat anywhere that they've sort of measured the area and then put in a particular theme or a theme park, as they call it, right? And it's amazing in the sense of you can turn any place then into a play space. Right?
Yeah, and we're gonna continue to see this happen, right? As we're figuring out how to more effectively overlay virtual worlds and digital assets into our real world too. Something that I've been kind of talking about for a while now is it's not about video games, it's about the act of play. How do we use the tools, technologies that we've used to make traditional video games, but merge them into moments of play? And if people are already conditioned to have these smaller bite-sized kind of experiences across all the other media they consume, all the other art they consume, video games are going to have to follow the same pattern because people are already building those engagement patterns, those engagement loops. So then saying, all right, now stop all of that context shifting and let's move you into an 80-hour experience. Like, no, I mean, yes, there are times for that, but we're going to see more and more things like this. We should also mention, too, for those of you that don't know 2-Bit Circus, the founder, one of the co-founders there, is Brent Bushnell, the son of Nolan Bushnell, right? Co-founder of Atari. And another Bushnell that was involved in bringing this is Brent's sister, Alyssa Bushnell. So it's great to see the Bushnell family still innovating in games, still innovating in tech, and finding more ways for us to play. I think that's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
I'm going to share our little podcast too with folks now.
Yeah, please. All right, Mark, what do you got, buddy? I know you
What
burned the
I
one
got.
big story for you at the beginning there. But what else are you thinking about?
Well, I think I'm staring at was I was going to ask Dean a question. I was going to do this later, but no,
Oh, I
since
can
we're
hear.
here.
We're
the,
here. Ask
I
away.
noticed that you posted an article about the interview you did, wasn't you, with the Unity CEO, wasn't you, I guess.
Yes.
So I realized, so I was at the GamesBeat Summit, and I saw, 1/3 to 1/4 of what I'd hoped to see, and I made lots of notes to watch a bunch of stuff later. And so I saw you posted this Unity interview, and I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
it
I
was
gotta...
actually say Sarah Parvini from the
okay.
Associated Press who did the onstage interview
awesome.
with Matt Bromberg from Unity. And, yeah.
So I saw that you posted the article. Are the videos also posted, or how are you releasing content from the show?
We
Yeah,
have
right there.
different ways. I think we're in putting it into the app that we had for the event, the Hoova app. We are posting stories sort of one by one from the conference, and then we're embedding the videos into those stories. So if you go to gamesbeat.com, you'll see a number of GamesBeat Summit related talks.
I will also say, Dean, if my co-hosts,
we're getting there.
if one of my co-hosts would read the article and the other one who wrote the article would read it, you would notice that right in the middle of your article is the entire video of the interview. So
Yeah, it's embedded.
Perfect. All I saw was a headline.
Hey,
I was like, look, that's a cool headline. I
This
should go
week,
read that.
I didn't mess anything up. That's fantastic.
We've
I'm taking
still
that
got
as the big
there's
W.
another half hour.
The big W.
Yeah, so
We do have another half hour to go.
there were 50 talks. Some of them weren't filmed because they were private roundtables.
Thankfully.
But most of them are they're all posted now, and we're inserting the videos into this, and then we're also sending it out. I am sending it out soon in a thank you message to every speaker as well.
That's awesome.
Like the videos will be there for people to see and grab and share.
Yeah. Hey, we do have a comment on that story from Flaming Flamingo over on our YouTube channel. So, yay. Thank you for showing up there. And Flaming Flamingo says he's got a tough uphill fight. I know many developers who switched to Godot or Unreal because of the Unity fiasco. Yeah, but, you know, in fact...
we didn't have them. We didn't have Godot there speak this time, but yeah, I did connect with them, say, around GDC time, and they did say that Godot was enjoying record adoption, and ever since Unity tried the price increase and failed and kind of retreated from it, people sort of realized that they didn't want to be dependent on a company that would do something like that, and so they have switched over to the open source Godot game engine, and yeah, it's doing well. I think it's still relatively small in market share, but it's growing. You know, people are adopting it every day.
Yeah. No, and the Godot is a really cool engine and a really good, vibrant open source community. They've done a really good job of cultivating that. I believe they offer the engine under an MIT license, which is like the most permissible license right alongside Apache 2, which means you can take that engine, download it, use it for whatever you want, ship it commercially, never pay a single thing to anybody ever, forever. And it's really good. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as a developer, right? But yeah, you know, it's, yeah, you know, in fact, a little bit of Boss Rush trivia for you all is during that whole period of time that Unity was experiencing, experimenting, kind of what their growth was going to be, is how this this live stream actually got started. And then we just started turning into a weekly news discussion. So this also came out of that. So some, you know, nice things can come out of a little bit of chaos, right? So yeah. So anyway, yeah, Mark, the answer is it's on the page there for you, so you can go check that out.
Did you see that Jay Allard has a new job?
Oh,
what?
What's that?
Yeah, this is on GeekWire, which is a sort of Seattle-focused site.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I know them.
working for Amazon, Mr. Melosinos.
What? Perhaps I knew that. And perhaps I also
Sure you
spoken
did.
to Jay.
Ooh, Mark strikes back. Nice.
Yes.
That's
What is he
interesting to hear.
doing? Does he say?
It's right there in the article.
Oh,
And yeah, so
Sure it is.
oh yeah, let me figure out.
It's a secret. He's VP of 01, which blah blah blah, new smart home product, blah blah blah. That's kind of what it says.
He's the boss of Chris Melosinos.
That's right.
Let me tell you something, Bucko.
Maybe they're making an Alexa plus plus plus.
Okay, that's all the time we have for on today's Boss Rush. I want to. That's the ripcord. That's the PR ripcord. No. So yeah, it was a lovely thing to discover Jay here, and it was really wonderful catching up with him. And yeah, I'm sure as they continue forward in the things that they're doing, we'll be able to report on that. So
Good. Glad to hear it.
yes, excellent.
Good.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at, let's see, Fortnite makes its data API public to offer creators more insight, right? And this is, as developers are looking at, things like UEFN and Roblox as a platform for that content creation, which always drives me a little nuts. And people like, oh, my kid was playing Roblox for 4 hours. Like, no, they were playing 100 different games right inside of Roblox. Roblox is not a game, right? It is an environment for these things. Kind of the same thing, with UEFN and developers that continue to publish. It's how do we find out how good our games are and what what does the telemetry data look like and how can I make those experiences better? And so by opening up that API, it allows developers to understand how to make those experiences even better in an already excellent, robust platform, right? And some of the things here, total minutes played by all players, total minutes played unique players, game sessions, players favorited the island, how many times players recommended the island, so you can start to then tie that into your social media, and you could tie it into, attention generation, that kind of stuff. Number of distinct players, day-over-day retention, week-over-week retention, super important, especially as we start to see brands come into those environments. And Dean, thank you for introducing me to the folks from Brand at Play that was recording their podcast out at GamesBeat Summit. And this is what they focus on, is how companies bringing brands authentically into games can work. And so there was a bunch of lovely discussions with them over there.
Yeah, the Sawhorse Productions people, right? Yeah, they were at our conference doing podcasts. And, yeah, I joined them for one too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
so brands.
And so then they just published a second one today where I was had the good fortune to be one of, I think, 5 or 6 different attendees there, kind of talking about different facets. But one of the things they asked me about was things like, early game advertising. And of course, with me, I go all over the place when I'm talking about this stuff because I love it so much. But it's like, oh, Chase the Chuck Wagon by Purina. Probably not a good game. Pepsi Invaders. Not a really good game either, right? And actually just a sprite swap type of thing. So it was really wonderful to talk to them. But yeah, more information to creators to understand how to make better games for your audience. Fantastic. So good on Epic and the team over there for making that available to developers, so they can make better games for players. So I thought that was a pretty interesting one. Dean, what other things are bouncing around in your head today?
I posted my column finally this week on what I thought of the season 2 of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
It ended at the end of episode 7 this week, last Sunday.
And no spoilers. No spoilers. So we'll talk in general.
Right. Season 3 is coming, and so we knew that there's only 2 games, right? And there's some DLC as well, but they made it partway through The Last of Us Part 2, and it ended in the place in the theater in Seattle, and it's a momentous part of the game, but it's also sort of a place where they can sort of kind of mark a change in the game, right? That's coming. So like you have a set of a certain number of characters that the story follows, and now there's an introduction of a new set of characters, right? That will come probably in the next season now. So I thought it was very interesting point to end it. Although I think a lot of people felt like, it just ended, right? And it's like a cliffhanger ending in the middle of action that was happening, right?
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I think some people may be frustrated with it, but it was a hard decision for them to make because they couldn't make like a 30 episode season, right? And so after 7 episodes, they decided, well, we're cut off the story here, and then we're picking up right where it left off.
Well, hopefully it wouldn't be as long, right? Maybe it's like a mid-season pause or something like that as they're moving into the summer months, where traditionally, right, getting people to watch long form is more difficult.
I think people are expecting now that it still doesn't show up until 2027, so it is going to be a wait. they're just like starting shooting on it.
Okay.
A lot of the shooting in 2026, right?
That's a long wait. That's a long wait. I mean, one of the discussions that popped up on LinkedIn. Mark, have you seen the series yet?
Mm-mm.
It's very good, and it stays true mostly to kind of the storyline and pacing. Season 1, most definitely. Season 2, they kind of nerfed Ellie a little bit, right? And they're like, somebody was talking about. Well, our good friend Bill Young did a whole dissection on the stuff on LinkedIn, and Bill's takes are awesome. And he was like, Ellie in the game, she is this like force to be reckoned with, but in the show, she's kind of unsure of herself and these sorts of things. And somebody had posted and said, well, nobody would want to watch a series where the principal character, is just this, murderous psychopath. I'm like, don't tell John Wick that. He has 8 lines in a movie, and it's an hour and a half of him disposing of everybody. Ken Levine actually made this comment years ago on a panel that I was moderating, where he's just like, everybody loves Indiana Jones. Like, he just shoots everybody.
I have thought about like the difficult decisions that say the directors and showrunners here had to make, and I think one of them is that the story is so good that focusing on the story is really smart for TV, but it comes at the sacrifice of action, right? And so like the game is nothing but mowing down a thousand zombies as Ellie,
right?
And that part of the game doesn't translate so well into it's repetitive drama, right? It is intense and it's fighting, but that's all you would have if you stayed completely faithful to the amount of time it takes to play the game, right?
Yeah. I also think it then limits your audience too, because then what you're doing is you're making the show for people who just played the game. So if you really want to understand how you build a broader audience that you can then bring into those environments, you have to make it more palatable for a wider range of tastes or kind of viewing patterns. Otherwise, if it's exactly beat for beat, then why watch it? I'll just go play the game, which is astonishing in its own right. Like, that doesn't.
And people are playing the game, as we noted with the Minecraft movie, right?
That's right.
It's inspiring a lot of people to go play the game, I think, and the game sales are benefiting. But I think there are things like the intense situations, with the zombies that reveal the characters, and the characters are who you stay for. Like you're lured in by the action, but the characters and the story of this make it so unique. It's not just another zombie show, right? So,
come for the action, stay for the drama. So,
This is the reason we haven't watched this second season yet, actually, is because the action was not appealing to other members of my household. So she's like, I'm noping out of this. You can watch it on your own. I was like, didn't expect that.
There's parts that the non-violent crowd wants to skip for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, people like to play games in different ways. Some people like the story. Some people like to shoot zombies.
Yeah. And that's why I always play on easy mode or story mode. I want to play, but not be so challenged that I have to keep, driving at a game, and because I just don't have time nor reflexes anymore. So unless you're Robotron 2084, baby.
Oh, that. Yeah.
I play on the middle mode mostly, and
Yeah.
beat my head against the wall. Right?
But you enjoy it.
I remember there was like this Ferris wheel scene in one of the Call of Duty games in Ukraine, and I must have played that particular fight 30 times before I beat it, and like I do that repeatedly with a lot of games. Like, what? Take me 30 times to get through this part. I get it, right? And so
you gotta love the ride if you're gonna ride it that many times. And you just unlocked another core Ferris wheel memory for me. Ferris wheel in the games, the worst one for me. Twisted Metal Black. And when you shot that thing off its mount and it chased you around, and I just remember hearing Sweet Tooth's laugh in the background. And I remember shutting down the TV and everything in the room in our basement, and all the lights were out, and I could still hear that stupid laugh echoing. And you just kind of walk a little bit faster, and you're like,
looking out
oh my goodness. All right. What other big news pieces do we have here? Well, we have one that came right out of GameSpeed Summit as well. Solo dev Adam Kugler reveals fantasy automation game Motemancer. And I had the opportunity to meet both him and his wife at the conference, and I got to help moderate the round table that he did about how you move from working on AAA games at a big studio to becoming an indie. And really good, solid advice, and a lot of good questions in the room about, well, I want to make this thing, and will people be able to understand my vision? It's like, it's not their responsibility to understand your vision. You have to make it align with what they expect, right? Type of thing. And one of the best piece of advice he gave is, if you're not set up financially to do this, he's like, it is your side job. Like, you still got to eat, right? Like, it's one thing to have passion and do these things, but also make sure that you can see it through. And so it's lovely to see that they have their announced trailer up now. And
it's been at it for 2 years, and as a solo game dev, and it's pretty amazing looking game. And you can't believe that this work's being done by one person mostly. He said he was doing about 80% of the game so far, and that he contracts out things like the music and all that to specialists, and so but yeah, he was an artist who learned programming in order to do this himself. So that's pretty amazing work, and it's like an increasingly common story now that indie games of certain kinds are breaking through, like Animal Well. Go back to the original Plants vs. Zombies. That was mostly one guy. And Octogeddon by George Fan also then was created by two people, right? Animal Well took 7 years to make for Billy Basso, and then there was Balatro, right? So it's amazing to see how these games are emerging, made by solo game devs.
Well, there was an article that came up actually on Game Developer's website, and it was the person that wrote the article said that at PAX we're seeing the deprofessionalization of the games industry. And our co-host Susan kind of took that to task a bit, going, no, that's actually being like a bit disrespectful to independent game developers who are professionals too, right? I know what they were driving at, which is you don't need the big publishers anymore. Now it's coming from everywhere. That may be very true. That doesn't make it any less professional. It doesn't make it any less a monumental effort to get that art out in the world, right? So as we're inventing terms to describe ourselves, we should probably a little caution about those things, right?
This is reminding me of the article I'm staring at right now. So you're saying inventing terms, and there's this article on games industry about Apple approaching gaming at WWDC. Coming up, and
it's like Digital Trends got the scoop on that. Huh?
I
Darn it.
Is there? Where did that come from? Because I'm like,
Well,
this is
Apple
a long
confirmed.
article.
Apple confirmed this a rumor that they had, right? And,
Yeah.
that they had bought the
Tiny
the
little
game
team.
studio, the 2-person
Yeah,
company
sneaky
that made the
Sasquatch.
yeah,
group.
Sasquatch game, and so that's like only Apple buys a small 2-person company, no big deal, but it is their first real move into making games,
Right.
And that could be a monumental change. Like it's coming right as Fortnite gets back into the Apple App Store after a 4.5-year antitrust fight, right?
Yeah.
With Apple. So very interesting.
Well, I would play I would flip it around and say it could also be, and we don't know, right? Could be an acqui-hire as well to understand the type of services that a game developer may need, so they strengthen their ecosystem, right? So,
But Apple has their WWDC event coming up on June 9th, and I expect we'll find out more then.
You know what it's going to be?
Stay tuned.
iPhones are now they're no more rounded corners. They're just
Square.
90-degree corners. That's what it is.
We've been wasting all the glass on the corners. Now it's just going to be square.
Now we're gonna cut ourselves with those phones now.
It'll be still sharp. That's right.
Exactly.
That'll
It's
be
to
the
protect
new
yourself.
luxury.
Yeah, I'm just going to put those little skater bumps. They put on like on benches and stuff like that, so skateboarders don't grind them, right? So if somebody tries to steal your phone out of the hand, it's like, oh, it's a slippery.
That's basically
slippery
what
grab.
we do with every phone we buy now, right? It's like every time I buy a phone, I buy like bumpers, I buy this little floppy case, I've got like a screen protector.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Well, I know we're coming up on the hour here. Do we want to lean into? And there are no other stories that we want to talk about. Do we want to lean into what we're playing?
Yeah, let's talk about what we're playing.
Yeah. So while you all do that, I'm going to play my tiny arcade here. So.
You're just gonna play. You're like let's not talk about games anymore. I'm just gonna play some games.
So for those of you watching, if you go to my personal website, somewhere on the front page is an icon that you can barely see, and if you can find it, it'll take you to this little secret arcade of Pico 8 games, which I absolutely love, and I'm having so much fun digging into these catalogs. So while you all talk about those big fat games you're playing, I'm just going to go ahead and play a couple little Quicko Pico 8 games while we're talking here.
What are you playing, Dean?
I'm still playing Doom: The Dark Ages, and getting through that. It's a many hours game, and I'm just I don't know, 10ish hours into it. Enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, which was that we are sending Giancarlo Valdez, one of our freelance writers, over to Orlando next week to cover the Unreal Fest.
Oh yeah.
So when you see some of these news things like the data API for Fortnite becoming available for folks, they're sort of priming people, getting them ready for Unreal Fest announcements next week. Right? So it should be fun. These are kind of the things that they normally might have done at GDC,
right?
Game Developers Conference in March, but they started this Unreal Fest last year, and now they're moving on to making a bunch of their announcements at the next one. So
yep. And if you happen to go, check out my AWS colleagues that will also.
I wish I could go, but it's about the same time as the Summer Game Fest in Los Angeles. Right?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah. Okay.
Just a couple days before.
You ready for that?
Getting there. It's gonna be a busy time again, and we have our own event on June 5th, sort of like 100-person or so event with a few panels that include Hank Rogers, the Tetris man. So we're gonna do a nice fireside chat with Hank again.
Wonderful.
That'll be great. Love that.
Mm-hmm. On June 5th, the day before the Summer Game Fest.
Okay.
Very cool.
Nice. Great. Well, I've been playing around with. I'm still playing a day every day of blueprints, and I'm on day 23. So, I'm finding things. I have a lot of mysteries I have to solve, but I'm making progress. But slow progress. I've been messing around with something called Tablecraft recently in Quest 3.
Yeah.
And Tablecraft is a sandbox-style chemistry learning experience. Hard to describe. It's a whole bunch of different activities. It doesn't have a narrative through it that I've found, but lets you pick up objects and destroy them into their component pieces, and then you use those component pieces to build other objects that characters in the scene might be asking you for. There's a rocket that does something. It goes up and like harvests some more. I don't know. It's sandbox, and it's just full of weird, interesting, curious things to play with. So I've been having a good time just getting in there and like poking around with it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's great.
I've been playing a bit of Walkabout Mini Golf.
Oh, yeah.
It is
nice.
good.
Isn't it awesome?
Actually, I saw you online the other day, and I was going to go ahead and ping you.
Oh, we should play.
And if you haven't played it, it feels like you're just playing
so good.
freaking mini golf.
Mini golf
It is
with your
really
buddies.
good. Really good.
Easy to have a meeting in.
Yeah.
Just invite somebody in there and play for 25 minutes, do a round, hold your meeting. It's the best.
Yeah, well, the first time Mark invited me to play, we were playing a Wallace and Gromit stage.
Oh, yeah.
And,
That's so good.
oh, shoot. Oh, what was that? There's no missile in the bottom of Moon Patrol.
Moon Patrol?
Yeah, so obviously the developer of this one took some creative liberties here.
Yeah, what the... Oh, look at that.
See, look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't there. Oh, for
That's
shame. Funny. For shame. But what I found really interesting, Dean, was so Mark and I were playing, and you're like, oh, well, don't let me crowd you while you're at the, what you're teeing off. What you're take your first swing. You're like, there's nothing to crowd. Like, you're not there. And I do remember I was standing at one side of the level, and Mark hit his ball, and it came flying at me, and I was like, huh? Like, to move out of the way, and I'm like, what are you doing, you idiot? There's no ball coming at you. So it's that good.
Yeah,
it is really that good.
It is really good.
Yeah,
I
if
gotta
you've
get
not
in there and
played
play
it.
it some more.
Yeah, I've done interviews with them for a while, and yeah, it's great how they keep coming up with new ways for people to enjoy.
Oh yeah,
free VR golf, right?
Yeah, they've done a really nice job with some branded. There's a Meow Wolf course, which is completely insane. There's a Mist course, which is great for those of us who love Mist. Yeah, it's just really, really well done.
Yeah, and
Now I gotta go play some more.
Yeah, 100% right. Yeah, the Mist one is the one I'm going to do. And the other thing they have in there is they've got these little, they have these specialty golf balls that are hidden all over the level.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can go find them and kind of collect them, and then you can use them, when you play. So it's got a little bit of exploration in there. It's got mini golf in there. It's a really awesome game. But yeah, with the travel I've done the past 2 weeks, haven't had a chance to play.
Get ready for one more call here, but
all right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for this week. So hey, guys, thank you so much for spending time with all of us today here on Boss Rush. Again, we do this every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Sometimes it's one of us, sometimes two, sometimes three or four.
Sometimes four.
And so hopefully next week we'll have Susan back with us. But we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and an awesome weekend. Go play some games. Enjoy the beauty of this art form. And join us next week and tell us what you've been playing. So with that, we're going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Nice to see you guys.
We'll see you next week. Bye.